Oh, hey guys. Today we're going to do a quick troubleshoot regarding a system that one of my customers brought in. The model of his gaming desktop is if you look at it here in the middle of the screen, it's the Asus ROG model G15DK. When he first came in, he told me he said it was able to get power. All of the fans go on, the lights go on, and everything, but it wasn't actually booting or showing anything or no display on the screen. So then right there it's one of the main core components. If he was able to get to the BIOS or something, at least we could at least assume that it was maybe a hard drive or something else. But if you're not getting anything, any display on the screen while you're getting power, there could be it could be a power supply problem, RAM, or other issues. So this one here is going to be a quick fix for you guys. So hopefully you guys will have the same problem, because you have to keep in mind, there's always the power supply, the CPU, the GPU, the RAM. You know, uh, that could be the problem. So I mean, in this situation here, you'll see what kind of problems we're going to run into. So it's going to be a quick one. So once you look at this desktop here, this is I just have it on my table here. Um, and if you put it sideways here where you can see all of the peripherals, if you look carefully, just follow my cursor, you'll see that there's actually a screw there and then the screw in the right. So once you remove that, it's very simple to remove the glass panel. So if you look at it here, there's a handle here that you can grab. All you got to do is just pull it towards you and then just lift up, just like this. And then once you have that, you just remove the glass panel and put it in a safe place. And this was the exact problem that the client was having here. If you look at it here, you can see that the CPU fan, he's got a top mount CPU fan, not a liquid cooler, and he's got a thermal case fan here. You can see that he's got power, and he's got only one RAM module, which makes it easier to test the RAM anyways. And if you look carefully here, that there's DIMMs 1 and 3 are the same color, and then usually in the sequence that you normally install RAM, if you actually had a second stick, the a stick of RAM, it would actually go into slot 3 here, or the DIMM 3. And then if you have more, then you can go from 2 and 4. So I mean, but since he only has one, he had actually when he bought it from Best Buy, it was actually placed in DIMM 1 because he had 32 gigs of RAM. And he said that for what he was using it for is more than what he needed for. So in this situation here, it was really a simple fix, because what ended up being was that he actually had actually two partially faulty DIMM slots. And being the first DIMM here, as you can see, this was actually one of the bad ones, because out of the 4 tries that actually had put it on there, 3 times it wouldn't post. So I mean, but the first time it didn't post, so my second clue was to go to the second one. So when I actually put it on DIMM 2, it booted perfectly fine. So this just gave you an idea that I did this 4 times, 4 times for each DIMM slot. So for DIMM 1, out of 4 tries, it actually only booted once, which was actually the last time I tried it. So right there, it's not working very well. My apologies, guys. I don't know if you can still hear me. I kind of dropped my mic by accident. And when I put it on DIMM 2, out of the 4 times, it booted 4 times completely fine. DIMM 3 was exactly the same thing. It all booted 4 times perfectly fine. But DIMM 4, it actually booted 75% of the time. So 3 out of 4. On the fourth try, it wouldn't. So so you got to rule that out. So I mean, the two safest DIMM slots to you was 2 and 3, and since my client didn't need any more stick of RAM, he just wanted to get the desktop working. So I told him, say, you know what, DIMM 1, it only worked once out of the 4. DIMM 4 only worked, it actually worked. What did I? Sorry, it actually worked 3 times out of the 4, and then DIMMs 2 and 3 actually worked 100% out of all 4 times. They both worked. They both booted 100% both times. So I told him that the two safest DIMM slots to use was actually 2 and 3. So if you look at it here, I put it back. I put it on 2. And if you look carefully here, as you can see, like I said, DIMMs 1 and 3, which is this is 1 and this 3, they're the same color, like a dark gray. And then DIMMs 2 and 4 are the dark blacks. And if you can see here, it posts perfectly fine. This is the post screen that what my client had. And he also wanted me to run a quick benchmark just to make sure that everything was perfectly fine as for the components. So I ran a CPU, a 2D graphics test, a 3D graphics test, and a memory test and stuff, and everything passed passed perfectly fine. So I hope this helps you guys out, and I hope that you actually have the same problem, because that's the easiest fix. You don't have to replace a motherboard. your board is like a 5-10% dud. I mean, but you have more than one dim slot anyways. So I mean, if you guys do have any other questions, or your system is still not posting once you've tried that, then the next thing you got to do is you got to try removing your dedicated graphics card if you have a dedicated graphics card, and try the integrated a video card that's built on your motherboard. As for this client here, if you have the same model as him, which is the Asus ROG G15DK, as in Donald Karen, if you have the same model, your motherboard will actually have a DP or an HDMI port that's built on the motherboard. So you can try that. So I'll go back to this picture here. So if you look carefully here, um, where is it? It's kind of hard to see, craps. But I know that there's actually two. So because what I would what actually, this one here, he actually has a DVI and an HDMI and a DP. So but if you actually have the same system, the next step to do is just to remove your dedicated graphics card and try the integrated one to see if it boots from there. Because if it doesn't boot from you know uh you know your video card after you remove the dedicated one, and is not posting on the integrated display adapter that's built on your motherboard, and you've already took out all of your RAM and just tried a single module in each slot and still not posting, then the only other two things that it can be is either your power supply or your processor. I'm hoping, or your motherboard itself. So try the power supply after the video card. If you have another power supply, or get one of your buddies or borrow his and try that out. But as for the processor, I've been doing this for 24 years, so the chances of the CPU actually going on these systems is very, very slim. It's literally one of the last things to go on a desktop rig. Out of all of the systems that normally comes to me, a lot of failed dim slots on motherboards. It doesn't matter if it's Asus or Gigabit or whatever brands you have. For some reason, a lot of dim slots tend to go. It's almost like when I do a lot of desktop repairs. A lot of times when I have clients that actually have Lenovo desktops or HP desktops, they're the two worst brands for their USB ports going in the back end, because I think they give you 6 in the back and 2 or 3 in the front. I have two Lenovo's here, and guess what goes first is the USB ports. I have a couple dud USB ports on my desktop downstairs used for work, and the one I'm using actually here in my bedroom for doing videos and other things. So I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, but the chances of your processor going on your desktop is very, very slim. I mean, if you know that you haven't, noticed any major, high temps issues, then the chances are it's probably your power supply, your memory modules, or it could be the dim slot itself, like I mentioned here, or like this person's having here. Sometimes the video cards do go. It's not too often that they do, but you can easily rectify that by removing your dedicated graphics card, then just trying the integrated one that's built in your motherboard, and hope that fixes the issues. But if it doesn't, try the power supply next, because a lot of people tend to think that just because you're getting power to your system, they think that the power supply works perfectly fine. No, that's not completely true. You can actually get power to the system, and the system won't boot even though you actually have a bad power supply. Back in the old days when I first started in 2000, where if we weren't getting any power, then we know it was a power supply. But now these days, you can actually have a bad power supply and still have the power supply give power to the desktop. So just keep that in mind, right, guys? Just because you have power, that doesn't mean your power supply is working 100%. I've run into many, like hundreds of systems where it's getting power and it's actually the power supply was the faulty component. So but if you guys do need any help and you end up having another issue with the same modeled Asus ROG G15DK system, just write down in the comments below, and I'm pretty sure that either myself will reply to your message, and or someone else will actually give you some assistance, on the on your comments. So please, comment and subscribe, and thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day.